Let's pivot now to the game of the afternoon, at least from an excitement standpoint, a surprise standpoint, a changing of the guard standpoint. The Chargers go to Kansas City, beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are under 500 for the first time since 2015. They're in the basement of the AFC West now, as hard as that is to imagine. Here's Patrick Mahomes talking about the 30-24 victory his team absorbed yesterday afternoon at home.
We just weren't executing when we got to the red zone. The play that I threw to Kemp, I tad behind him, and it kind of popped up in the air and got an interception. Probably if he catches it, probably is a touchdown. The run that Clyde had, he makes a guy miss, makes a great run, got spun weird, ball comes out. He throw the ball to Tyreek, who never fumbles, and he gets the ball perfectly hit at the perfect time to fumble. So, it's not like we weren't doing things the right way like we always do. We just didn't execute whenever it came down to it.
Mike, and there's plenty to unpack in this game, but to me, the big picture observation is the Chiefs have lost their mystique. And it may date back to the Super Bowl, but from 2018 through the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl, the Chiefs had developed, thanks to Patrick Mahomes, this sense of inevitability. They're going to get you at some point in the game. They're going to score 28 points in 10 minutes. If they're down by 10 in the fourth quarter, they're going to come back and beat you, thanks to Super Bowl 54, what we saw there. They're going to get you. They're going to get you. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And that's been punctured. And it just feels like they're struggling to get that feeling back.
So I'm going to kind of go the other way on this one, Mike. And now to your point, I agree. They certainly lost something. They're turning the ball over like crazy. 2 lost fumbles and 2 interceptions yesterday. So that's something that we are not used to seeing from Kansas City. But I'm going to also say this. We've seen Kansas City for a couple of years now with Patrick Mahomes and what they can do. So if you're going to compete with them, what do you have to do? You have to score. It's not that you want to always be really good to great on both sides of the field. But one thing you have to do to beat Kansas City is outscore them. And I know when people say that, so well, of course you got to outscore them. No. I mean, you got to outscore them in the 30s, in the high 20s, the 30s, maybe even the 40s. You have to have the ability to score points. So to me, that's one of the differences we're seeing with Kansas City. And one of the reasons, to me, the gap is closing a bit is because the better teams in the AFC that are competing are scoring more. They're drafting to score more, to do that. The late, great Fritz Shurmur, one of the great defensive coordinators of all time, when he was with teams, what he would do when wide receivers started getting bigger in the NFL, he was saying to the team he would coach, we need bigger DBs. We need to combat that. We need to find a way that the offense is doing this, so we need to find a way to combat that. Well, the way to combat Kansas City is to score with them. So remember the Rams, the greatest show on turf, with Kurt Warner, they didn't care if they turned the ball over because they know they would just keep scoring. Well, other teams in the AFC now are scoring points. So you can do that now to hang with them by scoring points. And then when Kansas City starts turning the ball over and not looking like we have seen them look in the past, that's when the gap closes, I think. So to me, is it more about the Chiefs? Because what do we know, Mike? Things get figured out in the NFL. Maybe except for New England and the run they went on. But things get figured out in the NFL. And one of the things to figure out is we have to score a lot of points. So I add that into this equation. Not just has Kansas City gone down and we lost some mystique. Let's give credit to other AFC teams, the way they've drafted and what they're doing to say we need to score a lot of points to compete with them.
Well, and that's also an indirect indictment of the Chiefs' defense. Even though they've got plenty of great players, they're not keeping the teams from scoring the points. But 4 turnovers yesterday, that's not what we're used to seeing from the Chiefs. Mahomes got a little cute with the no-look pass, and it caroms off the receiver's hands, and it gets picked off. A great play by Asante Samuel Jr. to do that. That's kind of a stuff happens outcome. But there just seems to be not the same sense that they're going to get you like there used to be. And you know what? The Chiefs need to process that, because I almost feel like at a certain level the Chiefs put a little bit too much on Patrick Mahomes to save the bacon in the past. Other guys need to step up. Other guys need to help them avoid being in a situation where they need to drive the length of the field to score a touchdown to try to win the game. So I think that's part of this analysis as well for the Chiefs, that maybe they've relied too much on Patrick Mahomes and they need to maybe beef things up elsewhere, and other guys who are talented need to earn their paychecks the way Patrick Mahomes earns his every single game.
But that's what we do, right, Mike? That's what we do in Green Bay, right? Aaron Rodgers, bail us out. That's what we did when Peyton Manning was playing. Hey, Peyton, bail us out. Drew Brees, bail us out. Now with Brady, Brady could bail you out as well, but the early Super Bowls, the defense was playing very well, still there. But Brady was another one. Look at the clock. You left too much time. Brady's going to bail us out. That's the thought process with Mahomes. And part of that, to your point, is to have players to make the plays. And, you have a Travis Kelce, you have a Tyreek Hill, you have some great players that you have paid. But just like yesterday, as you mentioned, the no-look pass, the wide receiver's got to make that play. It bounces off your hands, make the catch. So you do have to make the play. But as far as relying on a quarterback, we do that with the greats. We say that guy is going to bring – we don't say that guy and this receiver and this tight end are going to bring us back. We say that guy is going to bring us back. And that's exactly what we think about Pat Mahomes, because we've seen him do it. But he does have some other great players on that offense. And at times, those big plays that we're used to seeing them make, they're just not making right now. Now, whether that comes back, they're still going to make some big plays, and it's going to happen again. But they're not doing it at the level that they had done in the past. But it's never going to stop. It's going to be Tom Brady. It was Peyton Manning. It still is Aaron Rodgers, and it's Pat Mahomes. Go save us, young man. Go save us.
Another name to add to the list, go save us, young man, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, bail us out. Justin Herbert, help us out. Explain to us how you pulled off the victory yesterday in Kansas City. Here he is from after the game.
I think that's one way to look at it, but I think it's always an opportunity. The football season's so long that you have to forget about the last one, and you have to move on. You have to learn from it, and if you let that team beat you again, you're not doing yourself a service. And so I thought the guys did a great job attacking this week of practice, knowing that we were going up against an incredible team with a great offense, great defense. So we gave them the right amount of respect. We watched a bunch of film. We went out there and executed, and I think good things will happen now.
That was specifically on beating Patrick Mahomes, 26 for 38, 281 yards, 4 touchdowns for Justin Herbert. Some criticism of him in the aftermath of the Week 2 loss to the Cowboys, reestablished quickly, put that one behind them, focused on going to Kansas City and doing what they did in 2018. Remember, Mike, in 2018, in Mahomes' first year, they stole one from the Chiefs on a Thursday night. It was a great, exciting, one of those adrenaline games where you can't fall asleep for 2 hours after that, and then lost the following Saturday to the Ravens and blew the 1 seed. The Chargers had the 1 seed in the bag in 2018 and blew it. And now they're back to where they were 3 years ago. That season they went 12-4. They still got a lot of work to do, but they got to be feeling good about themselves after going into Kansas City and taking out Goliath.
Still aren't we all a little bit, shocked is the wrong word, but surprised? Tyrod Taylor was a quarterback back of that team last year until his own team doctor, unfortunately, punctured his lung trying to prepare him for a game. And then comes Justin Herbert, who and I don't know where you were on Herbert. I liked him, but I wasn't sure what we were going to get in the NFL. And he came out and was just gangbusters. So all of a sudden, we went from a Charger team to, oh my God, look how they lost their starting quarterback. Now the rookie has to play. Oh, wow, this kid can play. Okay, let's start building around him. Let's beef up the offensive line a little more. Let's work on other aspects of our team because we have something here. We have a Keenan Allen, an Austin Eckler, a Mike Williams. We have some weapons for him. Well, as I said, bulk up the offensive line. So to me, with Justin Herbert, it was still like a, wow, this came sooner than a lot of people thought and maybe even better than a lot of people thought. So in all honesty, players in that Chargers locker room, I don't even know if they thought they would be in the position they're at right now because I don't know how many of them thought Justin Herbert would be doing what he was doing at this point and the way he came into it. 4 touchdowns yesterday. Does have 3 interceptions on the year as well. So this team has clearly planted themselves in the AFC discussion. Again, one of the reasons is they can score a lot of points.
Tie game late. The Chargers are driving 4th and 4. They don't kick the field goal. Now, there's a bad crosswind. They were concerned about that. They get a 5-yard penalty, 4th and 9. They still don't kick it. They get the defensive pass interference call that was never replayed in real time. It wasn't. It was one of those, man, I thought in that moment of the game is when they keep the flag deep in the pocket. It was odd to see it come out for the road team in that moment. And that really, it's amazing to me that hasn't gotten more play in the aftermath of that game. The idea that somebody actually did throw that flag on 4th and 9, because that changes everything. Chiefs have the ball, and they're in a position to get a first down or two like Aaron Rodgers did last night, win the game with a walk-off field goal.
Stunned. Mike, stunned that flag came out. And as you mentioned, it wasn't replayed 5 times so we could dissect all the angles of it. I could not believe it. It was such a weird ending there. I get with the crosswinds and such, and maybe not a lot of confidence in your kicker, but I was stunned they didn't kick the field goal. And then, as you mentioned, you back up 5 and it's 4th and 9. That game I thought was effectively going to be over until I saw that flag come out, and I was amazed at that call. Even at the end, throwing, for the touchdown, it was odd to me. You thought, okay, this was a position where I thought they're going to burn, as much time as they possibly can.
Coach Dungy, I'm going to peel back the curtain a bit to what goes on in the viewing room. Coach Dungy, who never gets upset about anything, was dismayed that we didn't get a replay of the play that resulted in the pass interference. And because you don't see this happen. I don't really see the interference. It's just amazing that somebody pulls the flag out and makes it occur in that moment. And then that gets forgotten when they drive down and they score the touchdown. Right. The Chiefs still had a chance to win it. So it's 1st and goal on the 4. 36 seconds left in the game. The call on 1st and goal was a run. Mike Williams told me this after the game. They wanted to take some time off the clock. Now, they didn't have to score a touchdown. All they needed was a field goal. Despite the crosswind, it was the old school extra point potentially where they snapped it from the 2. No kicker has an excuse for missing one of those. So they wanted to take some time off the clock. Well, Justin Herbert, after the run was called, said to Mike Williams, be ready for the fade. Williams was. Herbert changed the play. Herbert threw the fade. Chargers score the touchdown, and they leave 32 seconds or thereabouts for Patrick Mahomes and company. And look, see all the linemen are blocking like it's going to be a run. There, if they weren't any closer than the 4, they could have been flagged for an eligible man downfield. So, and now Williams said Brandon Staley wasn't upset with them because they scored the touchdown. But that's another sign of a young quarterback, second season, deciding to take this thing by the horns. And a lot of guys that young aren't willing to do that.
Mike, this stunned me. So this, again, we talked about in the Green Bay game last night and San Francisco burning the clock. And I said, no, you got to score a touchdown. And I said it wasn't a field goal. This is the scenario I'm talking about. You still had 2 timeouts that you weren't going to want to use at all, or you're going to burn the clock down. You could use them to stop the clock at 3 seconds to kick the game-winning field goal. That's what I thought they were going to do. This is a perfect scenario to say, that guy on the other sideline can do some magical things. We're not going to give him the chance to get off of that sideline, and we're going to play this to a, as you said, old school extra point distance. So I was stunned. Now it worked, but I wonder how itchy some of those players and fans were when they looked at it and said, yes, we scored, and then said, ooh, okay, Mahomes is coming back out on the field. Not sure what's going to happen here. It worked. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. You got the win, but I was really surprised at that strategy. Now, again, maybe it wasn't the coach's strategy if they changed the play.
It was not the coach's strategy, and Brandon Staley spoke to Peter King for Football Morning in America, and he covered for those guys. It never came up that any kind of deviation happened from what the coaching staff wanted them to do. But the missing of the new school extra point complicated the situation dramatically because it was a 6-point lead, not a 7-point lead, with Mahomes in position to do a Mahomes thing, and it all worked out in the end. But just to boil it down to Aaron Rodgers with 37 seconds left and no timeouts, needing a field goal. Patrick Mahomes with 32 seconds, needing a touchdown. Right. Rodgers got it done, and Mahomes didn't. And young man, go bail us out. It worked for Rodgers, although he's not that young anymore. It didn't work for Mahomes. No. And it's just one Sunday. It's just one game. It's just one data point. But I don't care. The Chiefs are in last place in the AFC West, and they're below 500 for the first time since 2015. That is stunning.
Oh, I agree. And one of the surprises this year, we always look at surprise teams. I think one in the NFC is Carolina, even though they have some injuries to deal with. And one in the AFC is the Raiders, right there in that division. The Raiders had to pull one out yesterday, but they're still 3-0. Their defense is playing well. Their quarterback is playing well. So it's not like the Chargers are faltering a little bit and in a division where you have faltering teams. You have the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders, both undefeated at this point and both looking pretty good.
One last thing real quickly before we wrap up this segment. Coach Andy Reid went to the hospital after the game yesterday. He was feeling ill. He has been evaluated. They're continuing as a precautionary measure to keep an eye on him. He's doing well, currently resting, and is in stable condition. So that was very good news. And obviously we extend our best wishes to Andy Reid as he recovers and gets back to the Kansas City Chiefs and gets back to work on turning the Chiefs around.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.